right, I think we'll start. Thank you everyone for coming today. We're looking forward to sharing some of the information that we have about our district programs for this year and talk about some exciting things that we're working on, and then talk about some things that we'll be doing in the next school year. So next slide, please. Again, to do some introductions, instead of going round robin, we're going to ask you in the chat to put your name and your title, and then your organization, and then also your partnership role. So everyone is some type of educational partner, whether it be college or business and industry or civic program, whatever it happens to be. If you would do that, it's a great way for us to track who's here. And we'll give you just a moment to do that. Thank you. All right, next slide, please. All right, so we're going to go through just a quick overview of the agenda for today. We'll start with our introductions, and you're putting in your introductions into the chat. We'll talk a little bit about industry trends, chat and share out. And as we go through the agenda today, we really are hoping that this is an interactive hour. So we're going to have some questions and some feedback and ask for your input. So there'll be times for you to either open up the microphone and chat that way, or to put things in the electronic chat. So we'll talk about industry trends. We'll talk about some of the work we're doing in CTE and RUSD in those 4 areas. And then we'll talk about next steps in the future of CTE in RUSD. And so we'll start with some introductions. My name is Ron Weston. For those of you that are new to the program here, I oversee all of our CTE programs in the district, and I've been in this position for about 8 years full-time, and it's been a fantastic ride, and looking forward to wrapping up the school year and plan for next. And we just appreciate everyone that is in the room today. Donna Schulte is our job development specialist. Unfortunately, she's out sick today. So I am going to turn it over to Mr. Mugridge to introduce himself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nick Mugridge, and I am the CTE liaison for the school district. I've been teaching CTE for about 15 years, and my role on this team is to help write some of our grants, specifically our Strong Workforce K-12 grant, as well as supporting curriculum and instruction and articulation to our community colleges. I'm going to turn it over next to Jenna King.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jenna King, and I'm the career sports specialist here with the team. My background is in elementary and middle school education, and so that's really what I'm focusing in on, is bringing career exploration down to our students in K-8, so that we can start those conversations early, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Lowry next.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mrs. Lowry, and I have been with RUSD for 7 school years, and I've been with the CTE department and Mr. Weston as well for 7 school years. Turn it back over to Mr. Weston.
Thank you, Mrs. Lowry. And for those of you that don't know, Mrs. Lowry is the backbone of the CTE program. She helps us with budgeting and a number of other things. And so we're appreciative for all the work that she does for us in the department. Next slide, please. All right, just a quick rundown of what we are offering this year in CTE. We have 26 distinct programs in our 15 California industry sectors. And this year we were looking at a little over 5,000 students who have participated in some type of formal CTE program at the high school level. All right, so industry trends from our partners. Our goal is to work with the best, and you as an industry partner are that. And we really want some feedback about some trends that you see in your business or industry or educational role that we should be aware of. And some examples might be, labor market data trends that might be changing over time. things in technology that are emerging, something that may be cutting edge or coming soon that we should know about. Business to business collaborations. Maybe there's something that we're just not aware of at all. And we'd like you to take a couple minutes. You can share in the chat, but you can also unmute and provide some feedback that way as well. So I am going to go into teacher mode and be silent for a moment and hope we get some conversation generated. Opening it up to whoever wants to talk.
Well, I'll start. This is David Hahn at Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you, David.
Good afternoon. We've had a number of opportunities to share with some of the students in the Riverside Unified School District. Most recently, Ramona High School. Actually, we've had their construction class out at our current project site to have their classroom in a construction environment to ask our general contractor and to ask our construction team questions about what they do and how they do it, and how do they know, how far the light fixtures should go off the ground, or questions like as simple as that, or how do you know what type of insulation to use for your site. So it was very educational. But we also have the volunteer group there that has a Habitat for Humanity club on a chapter on campus. That is engaged with raising funds for that project. So it's been very beneficial to work those relationships with that school district. They're learning, and we're actually learning from them of what the potential is for what the kids have to offer from the local schools.
That's great. Thank you. Any intriguing trends that you see in the building sector for those that need help? Anything
well, we have 26 homes coming up soon in Jurupa Valley that we're building, and this is going to be a veterans project. And you can see the need, and not just throughout the county, but throughout the state,
Sure.
the need for veterans who are looking for quality shelter. And we're providing that first-time homebuyer experience for veterans for 26 families coming up, hoping to start construction later this summer. So we see that need, and we're trying to address that need. And we would welcome any of the partners to work with us in helping to address it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing.
Hi, Ron. This is Eddie. I attended this morning the World Trade event in Highland, and one of the things that was put on the agenda is that they want to reshore manufacturing into the United States. So there is a trend, increase in manufacturing, and also the trades. In fact, 2 members of the Inland Empire Regional Chamber of Commerce have initiatives to help the youth starting in elementary and middle school to think of the trades, because a lot of people are thinking just AI. What about plumbers, carpenters, electricians, et cetera, et cetera? We need those in the United States, because if you want to bring back manufacturing and reshoring, because today we had an amazing expert. He used to be on the national security advisory team of President Bush and Clinton, and he told us the trends into the future, there is a China threat. So that means the US has to start thinking to build the US from the inside out. So that's why we need the youth to be thinking in terms of the trades, manufacturing, and also the World Economic Forum. Every 5 years, they give us the 10 skills needed in the workforce. So soft skills, decision-making, and critical thinking is very important.
Great. Thank you, Eddie, for weighing in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, this is Tom Rowden with Champion Electric. And regarding construction and trades specifically, I would chime in on that. I just got a report from Associated Builders and Contractors. I think there's 32 states showed increase in jobs over the from last year to this year, and that's just going to continue. I mean, the amount of work and construction that's out there is a lot. There's a lot to build, especially in California. A lot of the schools are there's a lot of bond money out there in the school market, and there's going to be a lot of projects out there, and we got to fill that pipeline. There's still more people retiring and going out of the trades than there are coming in.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, In the interest of time, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and move on, but we appreciate that. If you think of something that is intriguing that we need to know about, please put that in the chat, okay? But thank you for all three of you for weighing in. We appreciate that information.
And I'd just like to add real quick that any of you who would still like to share some of that information at the end of today's presentation, we're going to be giving you a link to a survey where you're able to share more information than what we can fit in today's short amount of time. So please stick around for that, please.
All right, next slide. All right, so some of the work that we're doing in the district, we started several years ago, and we've been kind of building as we go. And so we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about career awareness and exploration, and we're talking about from the beginning of a student's academic career at kindergarten all the way through high school. We're going to talk about enrollment and retention, how we fill our classes. We're going to talk about what a competitive advantage is, and then we're going to go a little bit deeper in work-based learning and partnerships. So we're going to shift into career awareness and exploration first. And our goal is to really provide students with a wide variety of future career experiences or possibilities through career exploration. And so our goal is to close the students' awareness gap. If you talk to an elementary or middle school, and sometimes even high school students about what they are interested in, they probably don't know. And we always say in the department, students don't know what they don't know. So it's up to us to be able to provide some experiences for them to connect what is going on around them and what they might be interested in. And so we've created some career trees. You can see some of those on our website, and the link is at the bottom of the presentation there. We'll make sure that we send this out to everybody. Our staff goes out and does career ready period presentations and make sure that students have opportunities to hear what's available on their own campuses. We created a conversation guide for parents and for students that is also accessible on the website, so that these conversations shouldn't just take place in the classroom, but they should be taking place at home or with others in their immediate community. But our goal is to really have students find out who they are. And so we call them our tips. We want our students to know what their talents, interests, passions, and strengths are. And what that'll do is that kind of provides context to the content that they're learning. And so they're starting to understand why core content subject matter is so important. And then, of course, it's not just about our students doing exploration, but it's about our teachers doing some exploration. And so we've offered some externships this summer. Our teachers are going to be working with their business and industry partners to do a 40-hour work week where they shadow and learn some of the new tips and tricks and things that are going on in their industry, to be able to bring that back to the classroom. So we're excited about being able to restart that program. And I'm going to turn it over to Jenna, who's going to talk a little bit here about career exploration in elementary school.
Thanks. So yeah, a lot of what he talked about is a lot of what I go into elementary classrooms to do, is to talk to students about what are they good at, what do they like to do, what interests them, and telling them that that's going to change over time as well, you know, and just encouraging them to continue to explore as they continue through their educational journey. And so I do classroom presentations. We provide professional development to our teachers to make sure they know how to utilize the career exploration platforms we have. We have some great applications that all of our students K-12 have access to with Pathful and Everfi. And then I've also created a website for our teachers to use in the district K-12 as well, for some career exploration resources that they can integrate into their curriculum. Next slide. Yep. All right. So we've got another question for you guys. You guys can answer in chat or feel free to share out. So what are some non-traditional or tangential careers that are available in your industry that maybe most students don't know about?
And just as an example, I always like to share this one whenever we do our presentations with students. But on our culinary arts career tree, one of the careers that we present to them is a bladesmith. So someone who helps make knives for chefs. We consider that a tangential career, right? Where you could take someone's interests and talents and, combine it with some other skills like metalworking. And so sometimes people don't realize those careers exist. So we'd like to hear from all of you. What's out there that many people just have no idea that it's a thing.
Nick, I just discovered a couple of weeks ago from a friend of mine that she makes very good money, a career in just documenting all the tumor and cancer incidents in the United States. Right there, a career path. It's just 2 years in college, and you start with $25, $28 an hour. So.
Thank you, Eddie.
Yeah, and I see in chat, Callie shared a dance photographer. Cindy shared maintenance for solar systems, washing solar panels. Thank you. Graphic design, marketing, interior design, environmental graphic design, architectural photography, 3D building scanning, construction administrator. Great, thank you. Anybody else? And again, as you guys think of answers to these, maybe you think of them later, please drop them in chat. We'd love to hear.
Right, next slide. All right, some other work that we're working on, again, is the enrollment and retention of our students. We've shifted from pre-pandemic, from course taking, from just getting students to be participants in our CTE programs, to really becoming program completers. And to do that, we put together an enrollment and retention plan. And the goal is really for our students to connect their talents, interests, passions, strengths, those things that they're good at, to what they're learning in the classroom. And as they start to do career exploration and they're building on what they're learning, then they're going to be able to choose when they get to our middle schools and high schools programs that really fit what they're interested in studying. And so we say it's the right students in the right programs for the right reasons. And we're really trying to build a path, not just from elementary to middle and then middle to high school, which is you see on the screen there, but we're really, as you are our customers, business and industry partners, we want to provide you with the best possible workforce. And so we believe not only should students go into school with the right motivation, but they should be coming to you as an employee with the right motivation. So you should have the right worker in the right industry for the right reason. And so a lot of the work that we're doing around that is to really get kids to see how they connect to school and then what they're good at and what programs we can have that really help move them forward. And I'm going to turn the last couple parts over the slide to Mr. Mugridge.
Thank you. So kind of on that same line of thought and students being inspired or motivated to continue on into a path, we have started this year our pilot year for our CTE ambassador program. We have about 15 that served this year, and we have 23 that will be helping us this coming school year, many of whom are on the call today. So a shout out to all my wonderful ambassadors who are on this call. And what they're able to do, and it's the same importance as our industry partners being able to share their stories about either how they got into the career that they're in or how someone could get into a career that's associated with it. But our ambassadors share their story, and that's their main job, is how do they transfer their enthusiasm for what they do by sharing their story with younger students. And that way, those younger students can now say, wow, I see somebody who's doing that and they really enjoy it. And it's about the right students in the right programs for the right reasons. So it's not about selling a program. Our ambassadors are here to really share what they love and help someone else find something that they love too. And that inevitably is going to keep students engaged so that they can stay on the path. And what we want to do is if those right students are in the right programs, then they will stay on the path and they will complete. And that is really where students get the most value out of their CTE education, is if they can leave being a completer, having certifications, and all those good things. And then in addition to that, we want to make sure that our counselors and our administrators are also on the same page, all the way from elementary school up to the high school. So if we have high school programs and we want to talk about high school programs to younger students, we need to make sure that those counselors, and some of those may be on the call as well. So we've got an amazing support staff in our counselors at our high schools as well. but making sure that we share everything we can with them and that they hear from our ambassadors and our industry partners as well.
All right, and so this is just a quick list of some of the programs that we've been building at the middle school level. You'll see that some of our programs are called Career Wheel, and those are really some generalized course overviews for usually 7th grade, where they'll examine a little bit of the coursework that connects to the high school in small chunks, usually in quarter-sized chunks. They'll get a chance to see several different programs throughout that school year. We're excited to add a couple of new programs, one at Shamawa in the fall for animal sciences. And then we've also been working with University Heights, who's looking to do kind of a whole school international business program for their 8th grade that'll connect to North High School. So there's some very unique pieces. And then we're also looking to add fire science at Miller Middle School as well. The goal is really to make those connections from our middle schools to existing programs at the high schools, so that students are able to continue on that path. And then after they graduate from high school, we're hoping they'll either enter the workforce prepared, or they'll continue their education and then gain that experience through that process. And then this is just a kind of the laundry list of our high school programs. And so you'll see we have about 45 programs at the high schools spread out through a number of either alternative sites or our 5 comprehensive sites. And our teachers, there are many that are on the call today, and they have done fantastic work. Our students hosted a CTE showcase last week and did a phenomenal job. And so shout out to our teachers for all of their hard work this year. Thank you very much. And again, if you have more questions about our programs, you can see our website at bit.ly/careerready period, and you'll see all kinds of information about our CTE programs there. All right, and then the next piece that we want to talk about for the ongoing work is the competitive advantage. And we really believe that if we're going to make students career ready, period, our goal is to make sure that they understand that they are building their own competitive advantage. That means that when they graduate from our high schools, that they're better prepared to enter the workforce or the next level of education better than a student who hasn't been a participant in a CTE program. And so our goal is pillar-based. There's 3 pillars. Our goal is to provide learning experiences that balance each of those pillars. The first one is rigorous academic knowledge. The second is technical mastery. And then the third is professional skills. And we're going to spend a couple minutes going through each one and digging a little bit deeper and asking for some feedback on each of those. And so the first one is rigorous academic knowledge. It's standards based. So CTE programs have a set standard list that they have to follow from the state. We want our courses to be college aligned. That means we want some of our coursework to be articulated and students get college credit for taking those classes and passing them. And then we really want some cross sector. So we asked a little bit about, those tangential careers, but we also want our students to be prepared academically in terms of language arts, math, science, history, depending on what might connect best to that CTE program. And so you'll see on the screen here that there's an example, and we chose residential and commercial construction. And one of the standards that aligns to the construction standards are in the math field. And so it's really looking at calculus and students defining integrals and problems involving area, right? And so for those of you that are in the construction field, area is a big component of that. And so we wanted to make sure that our students have those academic skills to support them as they enter the workforce. And then you'll see the alignment directly to our CTE pathway standards. And so to put our education to work, we're asking the question here in the chat or to share out, what are some of the biggest academic knowledge gaps facing potential and current employees in your industry? So thinking about people coming to work starting tomorrow on their first day, or someone that started within the recent past, what are some of the biggest gaps that you see that we could help with?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Okay, hi. I'm Brenda Smith. I'm with Magnolia Heating and Cooling. And I really think that communication is a big deficiency in the upcoming generation. And so just face-to-face interactions, I think like doing interviews that I know that you guys do, and just helping them be able to think freely is really important.
Thank you, Brenda. Yes, that's absolutely true.
Okay.
Yes, no, that's great. Anything else? Others?
Yeah, biggest thing that I've been seeing in the younger generation coming into the workforce is just the ability to think critically. A lot of people need clear direction and steps to
Sure.
do things, but being able to understand the why behind what they're doing is something we're struggling with.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
And another thing, what I heard from people is that when a student goes for an interview, for example, they are not showing curiosity or interest. Like, for example, there was a case where a person got interviewed by 2 people. Then they said there is a 3rd interview in line. The person answered, "Sorry, I don't do 3 interviews in one day." That person didn't get the job. So it's like, they need to understand it's not what they think, it's what the prospective employer needs. And this is a real case. So
Right. And all of those pieces are really important components. And again, I think some of that we're going to talk about in the next couple slides as we move into like professional skills and being prepared to enter the workforce that way. But what we're really trying to dig into here is that academic piece, like what pieces in the academic world are we missing that we're not connecting our CTE students to? So as an example, we use that calculus piece. Are they coming prepared mathematically to enter the workforce in your field? Are they coming with strong communication, writing, or being able to read proper blueprints or technical manuals or those types of things?
Hey, Ron, this is Jeffrey Scott from the Carpenters.
Hey, Jeffrey.
You kind of hit it on the head with the shortcomings in math, and I would say fundamental math. We spent a lot of time teaching our early stage apprentices, getting them really familiar with fractions, conversions, decimals, things like that. And I think that's one of the things that students that are interested in working their hands maybe aren't exposed to enough, is how much math we do on a daily basis, and the various different types, whether it's calculus, trig, a lot of the fundamentals of geometry. I think that's something that, if the exposure is there at an earlier, age group, that the skills or the understanding of why I need to be applying this or paying attention to this will kind of stick. Because that's one of the things that we see, is that people don't want to do that, or they can't find when am I going to use this scenario? And we can say, at least construction, all these different formulas and things we use on the daily, whether it's area, volume, Pythagorean theorem, so on and so forth. So the fundamental math levels are huge for us, getting those up to a better level.
Well, and I think this is the kind of the connection that we're looking for, right? So when we're talking about career exploration with our students at the earlier grade levels, and they start to understand why they're in a math class and they like to cook, or they like to build, or they like to create, and they start to see the need for those other subjects and the importance of why they're learning those things, then it becomes a lot more powerful. And as they move through the educational process, the need to understand math or the need to understand language arts becomes much more fundamental. And so it's kind of an intrinsic motivator to move those students through the process. So thank you for weighing in on that.
And Ron, since you mentioned the math, what I noticed, there is a trend. There is a huge reliance on calculators and computers. So I think maybe what we need to introduce is a little bit traditional way. Let them do math using their minds rather than, because I was at a store the other day and the person couldn't add how much change they will give me back. Without the calculator, they couldn't do it. So I think maybe it's a good idea to balance technology, using calculators and using the brain.
Sure. Thank you, Eddie. And in the chat, I see Cindy put writing skills for the professional setting. You know, being able to write a good email that goes out to customers or clients, right? How many students tend to type their emails in text mode, right? And so being able to make sure that they understand not only proper punctuation, but the tone of the email or the message that's going out. Was there somebody that was unmuting there? I'm sorry, I might have interrupted.
I just wanted to elaborate on the whole calculator thing. So
Sure.
I'm with Associated Builders and Contractors, and we train, construction apprentices and trainees. With calculators, you wouldn't believe how many of our students come in and they don't even understand the order of operations. And at that point, a regular calculator is no good. I know clearly that's taught in the school system, but just to make you aware that something so basic is an issue.
Right. Thank you. No, we agree, and those are good things for us as we're working with the younger students and the younger teachers that are working with the younger students to make sure that they know that kind of stuff. So thank you so much.
And I'd like to just point out and add, like you said, that is covered in school, but I'm curious how many of our math teachers or any of our, elementary school teachers have the ability to give an example like that one, right? To have someone like yourself maybe even come into the classroom and tell the students, I know you may not feel like you would ever use this, but I'm going to tell you right now, this is how we use it in our trade, right? So important, the partnerships that we have with you guys and having them hear your story.
Yeah, excellent stuff. All right, and again, we can continue to have you put stuff into the chat. We're going to move on to the next portion of competitive advantage. I'm turning it over to Nick.
Okay, so our second pillar of our competitive advantage for our students is technical mastery. And so those are all the things that are industry specific type of requirements, certifications, technology. So a student knowing how to use a piece of machinery or know how to produce a certain type of work that is a professional grade and of highest quality. And so the example that we have here is actually from my background. So I come from the graphic design and print production classroom. And some examples of that would be, our students knowing how to use a large format printer or know how to do screen printing or use a production press, understanding finishing and binding of printed products. And so that again is very much, equipment based and should be of the highest quality. And so if students are able to prove themselves and become proficient in those, either the hardware, the software, the equipment and the materials, they have opportunities for certification. And so in the graphic design and print production classroom, students can do a Xerox Digital Career Pathway certification. They can get Adobe certifications, and they can compete in a career technical student organization. And one of those happens to be Skills USA. And we've had students compete in Skills USA and win at both the state and national levels, which is pretty awesome. And that's something incredible that a student can put on their resume. And the Skills USA competitions is actually very inclusive. And so many of our programs across the district can participate in that. With support from our partners like you is always helpful as well. They can also get certification from a company called UScience, and that is often paired actually with our Skills USA curriculum as well. And other ones that students can get no matter what pathway they're in, no matter what industry they're in. OSHA and CPR certifications are valuable in any industry. And so this would be a great example just for one particular program. But what we want to know from you guys, and we have a poll that's going to pop up on the screen here. And 1 second. This one, sorry.
It's there.
Huh?
It's up there.
It's not the right one now. So I'm actually going to open this one up because I don't see the poll that we had set up here. We're going to open it up for a chat and share out if you guys have it. What are some certifications that are available in your particular industry or organization that are valuable to your company or organization? What are some certifications, trainings that are specific that you guys place a lot of value on? And you can unmute or put it in the chat.
Nick, I come from the credit field, so they have several certifications, such as the Credit Business Fellow, the Certified Credit Executive, Certified Credit Analyst, and so forth. So in the credit field and the collection field, there is a lot of certification that the National Association of Credit Management will issue.
Thank you, Eddie. I also see in Jeffrey Scott here has put in there OSHA 10, Red Cross First Aid CPR, various construction industry education foundation design build competitions, which they do a fantastic job of in Skills USA too, which is a lot of fun to go watch. If anyone ever gets out, anyone in the room has an opportunity to go see some of those competitions, they're usually open to the public and they're really fun to watch. Good. Anyone else? I see some stuff going in the chat. Anybody want to unmute and share?
I was,
Okay. Oh,
go ahead.
so you can get your EPA certification pretty simply by going to one of the local distributors. They give classes. It's only like a 1-day class. And that is to be able to handle refrigerant. So students could do that if they're at the end of their education, and that would make them more hireable than another in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Brenda. Gordon?
As part of STEP, I was at the Ben Clark Sheriff Training Center on Monday, and they have a huge program in drones. And they're finding a lot of applications for drones, which could be applied for surveying, law enforcement, agriculture. So that would be a huge area.
And to add to Gordon's comment, this morning I met the president of UAS, which is Unmanned Aerial Systems. It's at San Bernardino International Airport. They are giving certification for drone pilots. And even they want to invite students. That's another thing, Ron and Nick, I will introduce you to her and to San Bernardino International Airport. They're looking for high school students to participate.
Great. Thank you both for that.
That's it. In the construction industry,
Yeah.
obviously the OSHA and, the safety stuff out the CPR, all that is very valuable, but specifically, equipment training like scissor lift, boom lift, any trenching certifications that you could give would be very valuable.
Thank you. That's really good. Perfect.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to mention a couple more. We're on the subject of technical mastery. I just wanted to give a shout out to some of our students. We had students participating in other CTSOs in the past month or so. One with Health Occupation Students of America, HOSA. We had some students place very high in those competitions, as well as DECA and some of our other CTSOs. And so I just want to make sure that we give them a shout out and make sure everybody knows about that too.
All right, so our last pillar is professional skills. And I think this is a lot of what I know people started to talk about right as we introduced these pillars. And so what we did a few years ago is we really worked on a rubric, and we met with business and industry partners, and we narrowed it down to 4. We said effort and engagement, problem solving, communication, and teamwork. And so I see the poll is going. We are asking you, what do you feel is the most important professional skill in your industry or organization? So see, give that a minute to go through as people are answering. See lots of those coming in.
Shape is interesting. Are you guys seeing the results?
All right. Almost there. We got 75% participation so far. So we'll give it maybe 30 more seconds. And we'll share that. I'll go ahead and end it. Nick, go ahead and hit end. And we'll share. Should show. Oh, we got a few more coming in. And I see in chat communication. All right, share results. So we see effort and engagement came in at 42%, problem solving 24%, communication very close to 23%, and then teamwork being 11%. And so what we did is we developed a rubric for these 4 items for students to be able to begin the year with a self-assessment, to really look at the rubric and read through the different levels and see where they feel that they place on this rubric. And then being able to set some goals based off of where they see themselves on that self-assessment and what are they going to do throughout the year to try to improve in those levels. And we really know that many of our kids will come in at that novice level. Maybe some are working within that approaching proficiency and proficient level. We're hoping that by the time they're leaving middle school, they're at that approaching proficiency. And then when leaving high school, we hope that they are at that proficient level and, you know, dipping into that expert level. But that can be hard for us as adults, even sometimes as we read through some of those expert level pieces.
All right, and I do want, just on that last slide, in terms of the professional skills, you know, we've shifted away from talking about soft skills because we really believe that these are critical and important skills. And we've heard from our business and industry partners that these are really the top 4 that we should be focusing in on. And as we're moving students through that progression, we're going to be able to pick up those other 50 or 60, what we're normally called soft skills, to make sure that students are well prepared as they exit high school and enter the workforce. All right, well, thank you for participating in that poll. That was really intriguing that it was effort and engagement as the #1 choice there. But as we shift into kind of that last piece of the work that we've been doing, the work-based learning, this is where our business and industry partners are really incredibly valuable. We want our students to practice their skills learned in the classroom, outside in your offices and on your property and work sites. And so this really adds the most experiential piece or component of the competitive advantage. And you'll see there's a list there, starting with mentorships and internships and apprenticeships, going all the way down through to guest speaking, tours, and field trips. And you'll see that mentorships, internships, and apprenticeships are in bold there. And they're in bold for a reason, because I think sometimes it's easy to do a guest speaking engagement and to do a quick field trip, but those are very passive opportunities for students to gain some experience. And we're really looking for them to gain some really in-depth hands-on experiences. And to be able to do that, they need to come alongside you as the expert and be able to come to that work site and practice those skills. And so on the next slide here, you'll see that our question is, what work-based learning or collaboration opportunities can you as an educational partner commit to providing to our students in the next school year? And so we're really hoping that we start to flip that model as we've exited the pandemic, and are able to send students out and have industry partners come on campus, what are you willing to do to get students out to your sites to do some more of those more personalized hands-on experiences? And so again, comment or share out, and I will be quiet for a moment and let you weigh in.
I have a question, Ron, regarding
Sure.
campus internships or apprenticeship. Do the students have access to transportation? Because I think there are two areas that I always hear from possible employers: liability and transportation. Will the intern be able to get to the place, and who pays the liability, like the workman's comp or any insurance involved?
Great question. So the first I'll tackle is the liability piece. And if this is something that's connected to the content that they're learning in the classroom, then we have the appropriate insurance to take care of that. And the second component is transportation. We will do our best to find a way to get that student transported if it's within a reasonable, within the city limits type of piece, because we want to make sure that we're giving students those opportunities. Now, if that's further away, that's going to be a little bit more difficult, but if it's an after school or late end of the school day, and we can provide some type of busing or something like that to get students there, we'll do our best to get that done.
Perfect. So is there a mile radius that you're looking at, like 5-10 miles from the school?
Yeah, I think it's I think the cap is 10.
Okay. Yeah, because I'll try to seek some businesses through the chamber if they are in the area. So between 10 miles, okay. So.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you, Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
I see some other stuff in here in the chat. David, you said some volunteerism, some on-site construction experience and education. That's great. Fantastic.
What's unique about when I put off-site construction hands-on experience, and Mr. Borns can vouch for this one. A few years ago, you had some students out in our actual Habitat offices.
Yep,
in our
I remember that.
Here, putting together the window frames and things that were going to be transported over to the construction site. So they don't have to actually be on the construction site to still get that hands-on experience.
Yeah,
that's
the students
correct.
thought that was
fantastic.
great.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, thank you for both of you to setting that up.
Thank you, David.
Oh, I'm not taking any credit for it. I'm just sharing the news. That was
well, it was Gordon. We'll make sure everyone knows it was definitely Gordon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
This is Sherry Shimshock from City.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi. I wanted to throw something in there that I'm not sure which pillar it fits under or exactly how, but there's something I've noticed. I work with a lot of younger workforce coming in. And one of the things that I've noticed is it's secondary and yet it's not. It's an understanding of financial literacy. And when they don't have that, it's like that creates that circle of motivation and that circle of understanding for them as to why it matters that they become engaged or that they make decisions about what they want to do with their lives. A lot of really talented people that I see coming in to City Hall, their lack of personal financial literacy coming in impedes them from feeling successful even when they're making decent money.
Right.
Even when they're exhibiting the skills that you want to have, they don't know how to manage what they get out of it, if that makes any sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of this goes back to kind of that academic side, right? It's some of the math skills, but it's also that academic content that's not necessarily taught in a CTE or in an academic class. And I know that the county Office of Education has done a wonderful job of really pushing financial literacy in all of our schools in the county. Our district's done a great job of pushing financial literacy. We have Eddie in the room, who is a financial literacy specialist who works with a number of kids, and he does a boot camp with our students several times a year to prepare students. EverFi is an online platform that we have our teachers work through with our students on to get some financial literacy, but that is a critical component. I'd put it in the academic knowledge pillar, but it is one of those things that's going to support them at the next level. making those good financial decisions. It's not just about I'm making great money, but now what do I do with that money and how do I hold on to it? Right. Very good. Thank you for that. Anything else? I give another few seconds. Did I miss anything in the chat?
Ron, regarding internship, is there a way to create, like pilots use simulation? Maybe we can create a simulator for business internship on campus. Like if a student can go to an actual business, great. If they cannot go, maybe we can create an actual business simulator there where they can do buying, selling, procuring, accounting, etc. So we can create.
Let's have a conversation about that offline, Eddie, because we've got some other resources that we could use too. That'd be great.
Hey, Ron, I did want to share one thing that's kind of difficult, I would say, pretty much across the trades, it's the building and construction trades is somebody had mentioned it earlier, it's kind of the liability, but also trying to get students onto an active job site, whether it's a prevailing wage or private. It's still pretty difficult with the insurance requirements that a lot of our contractors face. They're really hesitant to it. So what I've advised different schools to do, and that we always open up to our partners, is coming in and replicating the training that we do, how we do it. We try to make it as job site like as we possibly can, and having that, your instructors doing internships, but also your students maybe coming down to one of our training centers and doing some hands-on stuff. It's about
that's great.
Close as we could get without getting them on the job sites, but we would definitely commit to that.
Right, and we appreciate that, and I do understand that there are certain things like that we're not going to have the kid running a forklift all around a job site, right? But in terms of like we have a great cybersecurity program, and we can't have students hacking into a network, but we can have them, a business and industry partner in that area help come into the classroom and walk students through some protocols, and then they can do a boot camp, maybe a day or two, where they're doing stuff, and it's not online, and they're not, they're still staying safe, and networks are staying safe, but they're getting those practice, those skills pieces, right? So that's great. All right, I'm going to shift gears here because we just have just a few minutes left, and we're getting close to the end, and I wanted to make sure that we keep on track. So those are the pieces that we have been working on and we'll continue to work on. But we also want to mention some things that we're looking forward to tackling in the 23-24 school year. And one of them is building an advanced manufacturing program. Our district has been very supportive of creating an advanced manufacturing program. We've got some thoughts about that. The funding is there for us to be able to build something. And so in the next few months, we may reach out to some of our partners to get some feedback on how we do that. Our trade programs, we have a great auto program at Lincoln and a great construction program at Ramona High School. Our goal, it's difficult to sometimes replicate those programs at other sites because of the cost of facilities, equipment and supplies, and teacher funding. But we've got some money to be able to try to bring students from other schools onto those campuses after the normal school day so that they can continue to participate in a program like that. So a student on one side of the city may be able to travel toward the end of the school day to the other side and get those same hands-on experiences. I'm going to turn over the last two to Mr. Mugridge because this fits within his work scope. There you go.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It says I'm muted. Oh, there we go. Am I good now?
Yes.
Okay. My computer is lagging, so every time I click unmute, it kept muting. So, so one of the grants that we wrote a couple years ago was for an education industry sector program, and some of you may be wondering, well, like that sounds, why not just call it an education program? Because our big goal was not to just create a program where we could produce teachers, but to create a program where we could take advantage of the fact that we have a district that is comprised of several thousand employees from all sorts of different industries, including maintenance and operation and nutrition and business services, as well as teaching, right? And then even within teaching, you have administration and you have special ed. And so we are still in the process of, and we're kind of in the ending of our preparatory phase of getting that rolled out to our district, where students can participate from across the district, and it'll be a hybrid type of program. And then for our Strong Workforce Round 5, which we got approved a few months back, is an initiative to where students who enter a path, and we kind of touched on this earlier, right? Our younger students from middle school to high school can stay on the path, because what we were finding is large numbers of students, and I mean a large percentage of the students who were enrolled in CTE as a freshman do not continue in that program as a sophomore. And so we wanted to really figure out why. Why is that happening, right? So with that funding, we're able to kind of drill down into the data. We've hired
All right, and then we're just going to put this into the, have you answer this in the chat as we begin to wrap up, because we're just about out of time here. So we want to learn from you. So question here is, how can you guide us so we can provide the highest quality product that is career ready students? And so we'll give you a second or two to think about some ways that you can help guide us, and we'll have you put that in the chat, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up here momentarily. And it is part of the survey that we have, I believe, on the next couple slides. So for next year, we want to be able to move a little bit beyond the traditional kill and drill quick hour here. And so we're going to reach out, here's some dates that we've calendared for next year. We'd like to do some a little bit more intentional conversation with our business and industry partners. We hope to come together November 1st, possibly in person. So we're looking for a space to do that. And then we'll meet again in the winter, and then we'll do our regular annual advisory in the spring. So feel free to calendar that. We have your contact information. We'll be sending out that information early in the fall when we return from summer break. And then he's going backwards. The joys of technology. All right, and then if you have any questions for us, our contact information is here. We'll send out the PowerPoint presentation to everybody so that you have a copy of it. I believe the recording will be on our website. And tomorrow is Star Wars Day, so may the 4th be with all of you. There is a QR code for you to take a quick survey and answer some questions for us. We thank you to all our partners who came last week and supported our students through the showcase. We appreciate all our partner support throughout the school year, whether it's in the classroom or on your own site. We appreciate everything that you do for us. The things that teachers do in the classroom is certainly beneficial to the students, but when you guys come alongside them, it makes it even more impactful. So thank you for your time today, and have a great afternoon. Thanks for coming.